All right, guys, so I get this question all the time, and I want to help you figure it out in a very simple way. It's how to count the meal that I just put together. How do I how do I weigh it? How do I measure it? And the thing is, you don't, and you shouldn't. Um, because you really don't have to, right? There are ways that you can and reasons that you might, but you don't have to. And I'm going to show you a better way to get it done. We're just going to make numbers, we're going to make the numbers work, right? They're going to work for us. So the key thing here is that you understand what you're starting with more than anything else. We want to know what the raw ingredients are. So last week, I put together 18 pounds of shepherd's pie, and I split it equally into 3 of these containers. 1, 2, 3. Now you got a picture in this post of 2 of the other ones, and then this is the one that's actually left over. We ate those 2 Friday night, and I get leftovers. But in a shepherd's pie, you typically start with a protein. Now I ground my own steak. You can use chicken, you can use ground beef, whatever you want. It really is just going to change the calorie count and nutrient profile. But I used a trimmed steak and cut that up. Peas and carrots, I used a bunch of bags. Corn, I used cans. Cauliflower, I had actually a mix. I had a couple heads of cauliflower and a couple bags of this. And then good old potatoes, right? And I put this all together for that shepherd's pie. Now, I started with 6 pounds of steak. Browned it with some red wine and Worcestershire, and split it evenly between the 3 trays. So that means each one of these trays has 6 pounds of steak, or 6 pounds of whatever protein you chose. Now this is exactly how we're going to break it down. That 6 pounds, this tray is one of 3. It has 2 pounds. If I eat half of it, that means I ate 1 pound of steak. If I eat a quarter of it, that means I ate half a pound of steak. If I cut that in half, then I ate a quarter pound of steak. So it just keeps cutting in half, right? So if this is 2 portions, I got 16 ounces. If I cut it into 4 portions, each portion is 8 ounces each. If I cut those in half again, each portion is 4 ounces each. Boom, done. Keeps it simple. I'm not weighing anything, it's just portioning, right? Kind of like taking a loaf of bread and cutting it into 16 slices. You're not going to weigh each individual slice, even though they might be shaped a little differently. You're just going to take a slice and assume it's 1/16 of the entire loaf of bread. Perfect. That's actually how they do the nutrition fact labels on packages of bread. And we're going to do the same thing with the meals that we create. So, here's what I did. Peas and carrots, there's 3 pounds of those bad boys. There are 4 cans, so 4 bags of this, 4 cans of this. Now when I count cans as plants, I always count about half. So this is a 15-ounce can. I think most sweet corn or just corn in general are about 15 to 15 and a half ounces. So I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to call it 8. It's just a nice even number. Cauliflower, I used 3 pounds. Potatoes, I used 3 pounds. So if you add all of that up, I used a total of 11 pounds of plants. Now this is one of those situations where it's like, oh man, if I'm trying to be perfect, like 11 pounds divided by 3, that's kind of a weird number. But I'm not trying to be perfect. It's just targets, right? I'm just getting close. So I'm actually going to call that 12 to make the math work out really easy. Because if it's 12 pounds and I have 3 trays, that means there's about 4 pounds of plants in this tray. Now if you'll notice, that also keeps it really simple in the fact that there's 2 pounds of protein, 4 pounds of plants in this tray. So if I know the protein, I just double it and I know the amount of plants that I ate. So simple. And when you balance your meals out like that and double the plants to the protein, or triple it or quadruple it, it keeps it really simple. So you always know what you have based on the portion, right? So if you think and you portion out, oh, I have this much of the protein, boom, you already know what your plants are. You don't even have to think about it. So that's one of my little tricks that I like to use to keep things efficient, keep the math simple, and really easy. And it always seems to end up a very balanced meal as well. So I've grown to really like that kind of ratio. So now we know we have 6 pounds of the protein, we have 12 pounds of the plants. If I go back to the original ingredients and just add up the recipe, boom, 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 I get the total calorie count, and it is just over 7,000. So at just over 7,000, we come up with about 2,340 calories. I'm not going to use that number though, because I have 3 trays and 2,340. There's a number very close to 2,340 that is divisible by 3, 2,400. And it makes our lives so incredibly easy. So here's what I'm going to do. 2,400 divided by 3 means this tray, just over 7,000 divided by 3 means this tray has 2,400 calories. So 2 pounds of protein, 4 pounds of plants, and 2,400 calories total. So if I take half of that, that means I get 1 pound of protein, 2 pounds of plants, and 1,200 calories. That's an entire day's worth of food. And legitimately, you could take half of this, call it an entire day's worth of foundations, and then have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the rest of the day to fill out the rest of your calories. And just cut this up into as many portions as you'd like, you know? And that is a reasonable strategy. Especially there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different plants and some good protein. So if we cut that again, it just cuts everything in half. You know, we have 8 ounces of protein in a quarter, which means we have a full pound of plants in that same quarter. And that's 600 calories for a quarter of it. So when you're breaking things up this way, you're really talking raw ingredients and then looking at how much of what you made you actually take. Did I take half of what I made? Did I take a quarter of what I made? If you take a meal like this and then put it in 4 containers, just make it equal in the 4 containers and take the original products, divide it by 4, and boom. So you don't have to do anything extra. I don't have to take this and measure it and try to figure it out, or use some weird entry in Fat Secret that's like cooked shepherd's pie, because it's not going to be right or even close. Our estimations are going to be damn near spot on, even with me saying, you know, oh, instead of 2,336, I'm going to use 2,400 because it's a number that's easier to use. You know, it's close enough. Perfection is not something that we want to strive for. Give me the 98% and I'm good. And you should be too, because we're going to get results and it's going to be much more livable and way easier to actually count when you do that and you focus on getting close enough. So, counting those meals, crock pots, stews, soups, shepherd's pies like this, take the raw ingredients and just portion it out. call it a day. That's it. Happy eating, guys.